What is a global financial crisis? It's when asset prices fall. However, they only fall when they've been propped up into a bubble. It all starts when money is cheap, greed is high, and the majority are pushed in the same speculative narrative. In order to understand, we must look back at the previous financial crises back then. Starting with the Tulip Mania, which was one of the first recorded financial crises back then. In 1637, the Dutch economy had tulips, which were plants, flowers, rise in price as high as 6 times the annual income. The price of these tulips rose too much, too fast. Speculators entered the market and people bought these tulips with leverage through loans, and as quickly as the run-up began, it crashed, leaving several Dutch families who invested time and money to acquire these tulips left with nothing but a bunch of flowers. And we go back at how it started. It started when the money was cheap, the loans were available, the greed was high to make profits through unreasonable amounts, and the majority are pushed to thinking that these tulips are costing 6 times the annual income. Fast forward almost 400 years later, there was a global housing crisis in 2007 to 2008. Instead of tulip prices rising ridiculously fast, it was houses. And it started once again when money was cheap. The Fed had interest rates low and they kept it low. And when the interest rates are kept low, the banks believe that it'll stay there. And they give loans to anyone, anywhere, despite if they were a janitor, a person in college, or even a person who didn't even have a job to pay money. They gave the loans out. And when that happens, the greed becomes high. These people then buy houses, buy a bunch of things, but in this situation, it was more towards houses because they're told the same speculative narrative that houses never fall. Houses will continue to rise forever, just like they did with tulips in the Dutch economy. In the end, there was a huge crash where a banking crisis happened from the failure of the Lehman Brothers. And fast forward to 2020 was the COVID-19 pandemic. It's not regarded as a global financial crisis. However, it led to recession. When we look back, it adds up similar to the tulips and the houses. Money was cheap. Interest rates were low, and this caused greed to become high, where everyone was told that crypto, the markets, NFTs, would continue rising up forever. And of course, the gains were too much, too fast. And what comes after that is the crash. So seeing all of this, it shows that there's a lot of factors that add up, and that it kind of gets more complex to understand the message. However, when I looked at those 3 categories, when money's cheap, greed is high, and people are pushed to the same speculative narrative, it has a high probability of a crash incoming because it's currently in a bubble. And so I hope that that clears thoughts and gives insight to a way of thinking. And I enjoyed making the video, and I hope you did as well. So have a good rest of the day.